This is from Politico. German conservatives first, far right and AfD second in EU election. Alternative for Germany beats Chancellor Olaf Scholz's Social Democrats, who had their worst result in a national election in the party's history. There's a crazy thing in the story that there was one guy. Let me see if I can find this. He was convicted for saying everything for Germany. I guess it's not in here. I think it's in the New York Post story. But it's a crime in Germany to say everything for Germany. That's pretty wild.
When you try to take over Europe, laws reflect that kind of ambition after you lose.
So this is very similar to the French story. AfD, which is considered the right-wing populist party, isn't doing as well as, say, Marine Le Pen, but they say the conservative alliance of the Christian Democratic Union and the Christian Social Union finished first in Sunday's European election, winning 30.2% of the vote, according to a projection from German public television. While the conservative victory was expected, the real race in Germany was for runner-up. The far-right Alternative for Germany party was projected to finish second with 16%, a gain of 5 points compared to the 2019 EU election. If the result holds, it will be seen as a big success for a party that has been beset by scandals in recent months. The party's top two candidates for EU election were implicated in a series of sensational allegations of misconduct involving suspected espionage, potential Russian influence. Yeah, I don't believe any of it, to be honest. Most recently, the party's lead candidate, Maximilian Krah, was forced to stop campaigning after he defended members of Hitler's Waffen-SS as not automatically criminals. Oh, heavens. One of the party's national leaders, Tino Trupala, called it a historic result. Across Europe, far-right nationalist and populist parties are projected to make sizable gains. Nigel Farage is running too. So it just looks like, I think when you have unfettered immigration, illegal immigration, and you've got these insane videos of, I mean, I hate to say it, but there's crime. People are terrified of the crime. And sooner or later, there is a majority that will vote the majority. I've been saying this to progressives. I remember I was having a conversation like 10 years ago with some progressives, and I'm just telling them, like, you do realize unfettered immigration, mass influx of non-citizens results in a majority backlash, conflict, and chaos, right? If you have immigration slow, measured, allowing people to assimilate, everything goes smooth. You bring in 5 million people in 4 years, and then you will get a massive whiplash. There you go, Donald Trump. He's coming.
And it's all because a lot of governments, the people in governments, are essentially ashamed of their own countries and ashamed of their own the fact that they have a successful Western country, and that the rest of the world doesn't have the same kind of success. There's different countries with different government types and different cultures, and you're going to end up with different results. That's why different countries are good. And like, the idea that we should get rid of that, should just homogenize the whole world and have one country with the global government and one law for the whole world. It's absurd. It's ridiculous.
It will only ever be tyranny.
Yeah, of course.
Because
has to be.
What we're seeing in numerous countries that have tried multiculturalism is that two groups that don't like each other will end up fighting. So a tyrannical force then comes in and tells both of them to sit down and shut up and takes from them. You have a country of a shared culture, free speech, you mostly get along. You have multiculturalism. You're going to have some people being like, that's blasphemy. You've got kids who are being charged with felonies for riding scooters on pride flags in Washington.
I got ideas about that.
I mean, you see this with, like, Minnesota has laws on the books about female genital mutilation, right? Like, that wasn't just something that was born of the Scandinavian population that settled there. I mean, the other part is that there is nationalism or populist parties on the rise in, like, Italy, in the Netherlands, in Greece. Like, it's happening. Greece not as much, but like Netherlands, Finland, it's happening all over the place again, because ultimately I think it's this waking up of being like, instead of being told for generations, we need to be welcoming, you need to be tolerant. Those are good values. On the other hand, people are turning around saying, like, I think I need to put my family and my citizens and my neighbors first, and realize that the thing that we have built for generations is special and worth protecting.
If a government makes promises and then they don't actually result in or don't produce the results they promised, then the population is going to be like, we want a new government.
Mm-hmm. It's the biggest failure of virtue signaling politically, I think, ever. This whole border issue. Multiculturalism, you're 100% right.
That's real good.
Until these folks, right now, they still have sex in each. And by the way, I have no idea about this election. I guarantee you the Social Democrat platform is not combating the idea that they need to close their border. right? And I think you're seeing that in the States. And I think until those people in the party realize the virtue signal is not going to win elections, that normal people are waking up saying, hey, you're right. 5 million people over a year, we might have an issue here. There's too many, things that have to happen. We have to develop this out. We have to do it timely. And it's crazy because the left still has that narrative and it still works for a lot of the base. Not to turn them out, but I mean, they control that narrative and they're not open to the idea of saying, listen, there's this rise in populism. And when I say populism, I mean, being proud of your own country, right? Being able to say, yeah, America first, not because you hate other people, but because you want to have a great place to live. You want to have a great country. But I think until that bow breaks, and it's happening now, I think across the country, across the world, there's still that sect and they're going to eventually realize you cannot win an election when you're pushing this idea that we have to have open borders all the time.
I wonder, do leftists not have like a sense of nostalgia? Like, honest question.
They're afraid of being called a bigot. They're afraid. There's so much fear.
It's like the past is bad.
Yeah, anything, because the leftists are thinking that. I mean, you look at the French Revolution; they restarted their calendar. You look at China; they restarted their calendar. When there is a new, when there is a socialist kind of government, that leftist idea, they always want to start over with a day one, and that's happened on a ton of stuff because they look at the past and they see any of the failures, and they're like, this is all because of capitalism or whatever the organization was, monarchy or whatever, all of the bad things. We have to wash all of that away, wipe it all away, and we have to start fresh day one. New man. And that's what it really goes to. It's restarting everything. They want to restart man. And
I think to the past, and I remember all the good stuff. I don't really think that much about the bad stuff. I mean, like, we want to get rid of it. We want to remember the good stuff, and we want to make more good stuff. Good thing is a good thing. And I wonder if, like, because Anna Claire, you're mentioning that the things that we have built over generations are good things. I remember waking up on Christmas Eve. It's sunrise. Candles are they're out, but the Christmas lights are on, and we're running to get the presents. And then I remember going to the breakfast place, and they got the buffet with all the French toast sticks. That was fun and good. I want to share those fun and good things with other people.
Right.
They want to destroy those fun and good things. And for what, though?
They're not replacing it with anything.
Yeah,
they
it's just
want
breaking
chaos and instability. And America, I find this particularly interesting because I think Americans take for granted the regional culture that we have, and part of that is historic immigration. Part of that is just like the fact that different people started doing different things. Like, one of my favorite stories that I could be totally wrong. Somebody's happy to fact check me on this one, but I had heard that the origins of Father's Day, which is I think coming up this Sunday, was actually from West Virginia. That there had been a mining town where there had been a very significant collapse, and so lots of fathers, grandfathers died, and a church started it as a way to sort of like help kids whose fathers were gone. And I think that's really interesting. Right now, Father's Day is something we're all used to. People might argue it's corporate, whatever else, or maybe we're not supposed to talk about fathers because that's a gendered term. I don't even know what it is, but these are customs that we developed because we had values that we wanted to reflect and pass down to our children. And I think that is something that, if you look at everything in the past as if it were a threat to you now, you're never able to move forward and see what you're taking with you to build a better future.
So this is funny because Wikipedia says Father's Day was founded in Spokane, Washington in 1910. Sonora Smart Dodd, who was born in Arkansas. It celebrated blah, blah, blah. But then down here it says a Father's Day service was held in 1908 in Fairmont, West Virginia. After a mining disaster killed 361 men, 250 of them were fathers. So would that not...
Leaving around 1,000 fatherless children. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. They had a lot of kids. Mm-hmm. They had a lot of kids. 4 kids. All right. They say it did not have repercussions outside of Fairmont for several reasons. Among them, the city was overwhelmed by other events. The celebration of Independence Day, July 4th, with 12,000 attendees.
West Virginia local is giving me propaganda. They're claiming Father's Day. I like it. I'll say it's a West Virginia thing.
Yeah.
But I just mean, like, ultimately, we want to take things and make them good to continue to have a structure and a culture. And I think that when we don't allow other nations to do, like, when Americans say, like, well, why would the EU not welcome all kinds of, immigrants? They're so bigoted and backwards. We're taking for granted that they have their own unique cultures. Like, do you remember the Slovakian Prime Minister, Robert Fico, who had this attempted assassination? This was a couple months ago. He's considered a left-leaning populist, and at one point he had gotten in trouble because he had said to the EU, well, we only want to welcome Christian migrants because we are a Christian nation. And they were like, bigot, bad person. But it's interesting because if that's part of the fabric of your culture, like, why wouldn't you prioritize that?
There's another phenomenon too that people are not, well, people have probably aren't thinking of. And that's the fact that like a lot of the cultures that are going in, or other people that are going into Europe have a very different culture, and the Europeans, they don't have the backbone to stand up to them. Right. So like, well, the people do, but the governments don't. So this effort by the people to change their government is literally an effort for them to protect them. Because if the government doesn't, if you don't have a government that can stand up to the whims of new population, so if you get a lot of Muslims that want Sharia or want stuff like that, those things are abhorrent to Western civilizations, Western laws. You can't have Sharia law in a Western country. If you don't have a liberal government that's got the backbone to stand up and say, no, we're not going to have those kind of things. We're all, like Tim said, we're already having that stuff kind of here with the whole LGBT stuff. You'll see the same thing in Europe with a lot of Islam and stuff, because the Islamic people, they won't tolerate the stuff that the liberals will. So the liberals have to at least have as much backbone as the people that are coming in. And if they don't, the people that are coming in are going to take over.
They're going to change it. And it's a really simple analogy. If I got a house and I invite you over, and on every Friday night we order pizza and wings, and then you say, I don't want pizza and wings, I'll say, then you can leave. Because Friday is pizza and wing night. We've been doing it forever. Me and the homies, we get together, we order pizza and wings, and we play Xbox, split screen from back in 2006 on our old garbage backlit TV. And if you don't like it, you can leave. And I can't imagine, like, you do this thing because it's fun to do. It's fun with your friends. You enjoy doing it. And then what? You invite some people over and they're like, nah, we're here now. And so now you have to do what we want to do. It's like, nah, you get out. This idea that liberals have where it's like, anyone can come here and anyone can do whatever they want. And then we're going to change the fabric of society for them too. Instead of putting Merry Christmas up everywhere, we're going to put Happy Holidays. And I'm like, why? I got no beef. They can celebrate Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever they want to do. That's absolutely fine. But if we traditionally in this town celebrate Christmas, why should we change that? They can come and celebrate with us, and they can do what they want to do. Whatever, like, they can have their celebration when they want to have their celebration, and we'll do ours. Mm-hmm. I think this is what's happening in Europe, is that people remember growing up as kids. They remember the things that they liked, and they want to transfer down to the kids that they're having, if they're having kids. And there are people who come in who don't share those things. And then their local towns say, well, look, 30% of the population here, they want to celebrate, this different holiday. So they voted and we have to accommodate them, so we will. And that takes away from the traditions that people know, love, and enjoy for no reason. Cultural traditions like celebrating a holiday bring people together with shared experiences and help strengthen a community, which you need to survive. That's what humans are. Why change all of that for someone else who's coming here? Look, the people who are coming to the United States, they're guests. Asylum seekers, they call them. Okay, well, the ones that actually are, I say this. I got a spare bedroom. I'm going to let you stay in it. And Friday is pizza and wings. That's it. You have no say in the matter. I'll share my pizza with you.
Right.
Instead, they're coming in and being like, I want tabbouleh. And I'm like, dude, come on, man. I got no beef with tabbouleh. It's good when it's good, but we do pizza and wings on Friday.
I think one of the challenges, if you're asking people, I'm pretty anti-immigration. I think that's pretty clear, obvious to everyone. But if you're asking people, so you have whatever amount of net migration, you're saying, please come to our country, respect our laws, and we'll try our best to help you acclimate to our culture. If we're saying, but actually we don't care about our culture and we're kind of getting rid of it and we'll really do whatever you're wanting, like, you're actually not giving anyone who immigrates the tools to become a part of your society. And I think that is, it's this weird challenge between being like, well, we thought we were so welcoming that we just do away with everything that made us a country, which made them want to come here in the first place. And so now we don't know what we're doing and we're all kind of fighting for a power structure. Like, it's not good.
Yeah, and I think what Phil said, there has to be somebody willing to push back, right? Whether it's government, whether it's the community, whatever it is.
Your government has to have the backbone to defend you.
And when you say, like, Happy Holidays is a great example, it's like somebody has to make a choice, right? At some point, it's like, all right, we're putting up the sign in the town square, and the argument from the wokesters is always like, oh, well, come on, like, we want to be included. It's like, no, somebody has to sit there and they have to feel enough pressure whether it's from, some government edict or not. Look at the Pride Month stuff. When they put up, they don't do that in some of these countries.
Oh,
See
yeah.
the corporations? It's like, why? Because when somebody makes a choice and the motive's there and there aren't enough people or governments or whatever pushing back, they're never going to stop. But it's that choice.
The worst thing about it is that if we were like, it's Taco Tuesday, it's like, this is what we do at work on Tuesday. We just order a bunch of tacos and stuff, and because we like it. And a lot of people need to understand this, that like tacos, burritos, as most people know, it's Tex-Mex. It's not Mexican food. Yeah. So now that you understand that, it is American to a certain degree. But anyway, my point is, I'm kidding. My point is, happy holidays is like saying it's food day. Happy holidays, it's like you're not celebrating anything at all. There's no celebration. It's just like you're doing a thing. So imagine you had Taco Tuesday, but some people came over to your house and you're like, no, from now on, we're doing Food Tuesday. It's like food. It's like, well, we eat food all the time. We celebrate things for various reasons, but today's Christmas.
They take the fun out of everything. They take the detail. Everything has to be vague to try to fit into a box because why? Because that box doesn't offend anybody.
No, they want to get rid of
common
Christmas. They want to
denominator.
get rid of Christmas because of the culture.
Right.
100%.
Or anti-Santa.
Well, because
absolutely
Christmas
are.
offends non-Christians, right? And it's always about how do we
No,
not
no,
offend
no, no,
them?
no. It's not the offense. It's the fact that Christmas brings people together.
I would agree.
Well, hold on. Christmas doesn't offend non-Christians. It offends communists. I know a lot of I know people who are Muslim. They're just like, that's great. That's awesome that you celebrate. I don't celebrate that. And then I know people who are Jewish. Oh, that's I'm Buddhist. I know a Hare Krishna guy. They're not mad about it. It is communists who are very, very upset about it, and partly because it brings people together. It forms communal bonds, and it is a tie to the roots of your moral foundation that they need to destroy.
Absolutely.
And so those communists, though, I would agree with that. But that's what I'm saying. The communists then go and pressure the corporations, right? You're offending people. You can't say happy holidays. That's what you have to say, right? It's all these pressure points. But yeah, it does go back to that. It's a great point.
The more the left can destabilize your society, the more they're going to, because that's their access to power. When they can destabilize the society, then you have rifts in society, and you have people that have tensions and stuff. They can find those tensions, and they can pick at them and pick at them. It's the dialectic. It's the whole look for the problem and pick at the problem, because essentially the idea in the ideologically informed leftist, I understand your perspective, and some people don't consider the leftists to be all that philosophical or whatever. There is a core of it that comes from philosophy, and it is that they believe the perfected society exists and all of these bad things have wrapped up around it, and the more they pick the bad things away, the more that you'll be able to expose the good thing inside. It's literally the dialectic. You present the synthesis, or you present the opposite, and it comes to a deeper understanding, and that's what they're doing. They're trying to pull the parts of society apart to be able to say we can get to the good in the center.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.